Okay, so this is the Avery dress. This has been a really popular dress, as you can probably imagine. It came out this year, and I've seen it a ton in the showroom for alterations. So I wanted to share with you the best way to hem this because we've tried a bunch of different ways. It comes with this really variegated hem where it's just crazy highs and lows. We're talking like a 2-inch difference between the finished edge and the appliques. On the train, it's fine, but at the front, it can be very difficult. Even if the brides order it the correct length, it's still too long in the front on this top layer. So the way we mark it is just get the floor length. So we pin up the fold for the floor length. And this one is kind of, there's not too much that needs cut off. It's about a 3-inch, strip there, and then maybe 2-inch there. So it's not wild, but it's right in the middle of the design that we need. So this is not a applied trim at the edge. This is the full embroidery. So it's not like there's always a great place to cut it. So I wanted to show you what we came up with because there's a couple of ways depending on where you're needing to cut it. So you can see I've already started right here. This is the baseline fold that we marked. And I've now cut off my piece here just by getting the scissor into the fold and cutting through. Just like this. And that way I know that I've got at least that marked. Now I have this hanging, but I'm not working with it at the finished floor length because I want a little space. So what I'm going to do on the trim off that I've cut here is make my own applied edging for it. I'm going to cut around the closest finished motif here. And you don't always get big workable lengths, so you have to kind of play with it a little bit. There are some spots of the hem where it naturally is blank, so you do have that kind of on your side that you can leave it blank a little bit if it looks like it works out better for your design. So you can see I'm just trimming out here so that it's a nice border now, and I can go ahead and apply this to the edge of the dress. Now when we mark this on the hem ticket, we just write not 1 inch above or below, so we want it to kind of split the difference. If you could imagine a line here, we apply it with this line at the fold, so that way it still looks like the dress. It kind of has that, above and below the finished line. It's not going to be too short or too long. And you could do a second fitting with your bride to make sure that it falls where you want it to, but basically that's how you'll go ahead and reapply this. So you turn this into its own trim. Again, trimming around everything just like this. And you just trim to the nearest design, make sure it looks good. There's nice thick embroidered borders that you can use as a guide, just like this. Kind of blend as you go. So you see how that looks, just nice and clean. And I'm going to go right back on here. That's my side seam, and I'm just going to pin this in place, following our rule of not more than 1/2 inch or 1/2 inch above or below. So we're kind of floating it over the finished edge. Can you see the back on there? You see? So that's the finished edge, and then this is just a shade below it. So that way, if I've got a high spot or a low spot over here, which I do, it's not going to be, crazy high or whatever. And the nice part about this is, even if you base this on for your fitting and it looks good, you can always, re-sew over it and make it good to go. But you can pop it off and adjust it at the fitting. If you end up having some translucent spots like this that I can see is coming up, save a flower for that and kind of blend back over that spot so you don't see, or you can trim out behind after you've finalized the length with the bride. So that way it still looks original or closer to original. You're not going to put this back like 1,000% the way that it came, because you can see these are giant flowers. Now the amount that she's needing trimmed off kind of precludes you from being able to cut super high around everything, but you can do that too if you want to. It just takes a lot longer. This is kind of a method we figured out that works really well for this dress. There's another one too where if you want to pin a piece of sacrificial fabric or brown paper behind it, you can do that to line up So you can line up the folded edge with the cardboard, pin it on, make sure it matches. Obviously this takes a little bit longer because you're gonna work with this little setup here. But you'll line it up. Oops, my pin fell out. There we go. And then let down your pins because the edge of this is now marking your fold. So you see I have it lined up at the bottom, and then you can actually undo your pins here. I still will keep mine here because I'm gonna use the other method for this one, but just so you can see, which depends whichever is comfortable for you. And you can do this one on the table versus the hanger. I like this one a lot better on the table, but I'm not gonna take it off here. So you line this up. Oops, my cardboard fell. Put this back up. But basically what you'll do then is use something to hold your line in place for you, and that way you can cut wherever you want and you can still see it behind. Let me put this back. There we go. Had to grab a little bigger. So from here, you can cut around a little more judiciously. And if you wanted to lift higher above your cut line, you'll still see where your finished line is supposed to be through the cardboard, if that makes sense. And again, this one's easier to do flat on the table versus on the hanger. So, but those are my two methods that I use for this style of dress, where there's nothing to take off. You know, no applied trim. I just make my own and go from there. And then, you know, same method for sewing back on. Clear thread on top and white on bottom works well for this one. Awesome. Let me know how it works out for you.